I forgot to turn off the fan, but okay. That thing's so noisy. Going live. Aloha. Good morning. This is the Aloha live out of Tucson, Arizona, with Spiritual Homes Productions on Blog Talk Radio and Freak. Excuse me. Wait a minute. We're not doing the radio show. We're doing the webinar program here now. Webinar series. Holy cow! Really? Today? Anyhow, we're here. Oops! Oh, now my page decides to kick in. I swear. I'm getting me a new computer. That's all to it. This thing is driving me nuts. Like it's like a turtle anymore. So, let me turn this off. Time out. Okay, that should do it. Right? Off. Like a good boy. There you go. Oh my God, this is yeah, we're on webinar jam today, and we're here with Sam Maranto. Oh, wait, now tell me again, where are you located at, Sam?
Illinois.
Oh, really? I thought you were somewhere else, but anyhow, Sam's going to be talking about, and thank you for being here, Sam's going to be talking about correlations or coincidence, specific UFO case studies, and he's going to present some actual footage, some pictures that you can check out for yourself, so you can see what's really going on out there. An evaluation of witness accounts and photo analysis from past and current UFO case files. Most of these cases and images have never been seen before in the public domain. Others some are renowned and anyhow, all offering up new revelations thanks to video and photo comparison. Was the large black triangular craft seen in southern Illinois back in January of 2000 similar to the one seen in the Tinley Park, Massachusetts? A sighting of 2004. Has there been other video and photos supportive of this massive object, and what other unusual objects have been seen accompanying these behemoths of the UFO realm? So, and you have some live to tape, some real life UFO pics, and also well, I don't know, you're not going to do video today, but you're just going to show photos. Is that correct, Sam?
Yep. Yeah. I can't go through the video, but I'll explain some video.
So now, Sam, I do want you to tell these. Now you have rights to showing all this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if not, somebody's been knocking at my door, breaking my knees. I don't know, but yeah, these are cases that I've worked on. I've been given the okay to use the photos. Other photos are generally photos that were taken off the internet that are public domain. If there's anything else offensive, just or whatever, a person can call me and I'll have them removed. Simple as that. This right here is,
well, no. What I'm saying is YouTube might decide to take this off because you don't have rights. So, but if you don't think you have rights, then at least let us know where you got them from and give these people credit, so that way they'll at least have some kind of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Just wherever you want to start.
Okay, this is all my stuff. I put it together, so there shouldn't be an issue with any of this. And, of course, we're dealing with correlations or coincidence, digital photographic and video evidence. My name is Sam Maranto. I'm an investigative researcher. I'm also the state director of MUFON International, and, of course, Illinois MUFON. You may have seen me on 10 Best UFO Cases, which was on Dateline NBC. I've recently been on the MSNBC Caught on Camera. I've been on many different programs pertaining to the subject matter. I also do a number of conferences and do ongoing public talks. The phenomena we're talking about is a genuine phenomenon. We're only going to be concentrating on the phenomena itself, though I do want to touch on some of the anomalies that are associated with many of the reports we get. Here is a picture, and this picture, by the way, comes from an anonymous individual. I know the individual, but his identity will remain anonymous. He took this photo. The picture, or the illumination / object, was seen near Batavia around the Fermi Laboratory, which is a cyclotron. This is when they were updating some of the major components. The individual who took this picture is well versed in aviation, any type of conventional, or for instance even top secret, relatively top secret equipment and ordnance. He has extremely high classifications and is current. So when he's seen this illumination, as unusual thing, he decided to take some images. There was a cloud in the one picture. Here seems to be either a cloud or something being illuminated below it. And after I've done the enhancements, there is clearly something in there that has the shape of something that is definitely not a weather balloon, definitely not the Goodyear blimp, or, for instance, the new nemesis out there is being these sky lanterns, and it's definitely not a comet or anything, astral whatever, a rainbow, or the other popular explanation by so many meteorologists is, of course, the aurora borealis, because most people don't even have a clue what that is. And the other thing is, you see here, this halo type effect is called a sundog, which is not to be confused with the Chicago style hot dog. I like mine with a sesame seed bun. And just to give you an idea, it's more than likely something along this line according to what we see there. But we also need more evidence to make a more conclusive decision on what we see there. Unfortunately, no more photographs have come forward. We have a report, and we have some images that we analyze, and that's what we have to go with. So what we're talking about is UFOs, unidentified flying objects, UAP, which some people prefer to use, which is unidentified aerial phenomena, or unidentified anomalous phenomena, which is the preference to be used by the National Association of Aerial Anomalous Phenomena, NARCAP. Unidentified to this date, not misidentified or hoax. That's the difference here, and we will explain. Nebulous lights, illuminations, unusual and discernible objects, well-defined self-luminous objects, discernible or detectable objects that may be hard to detect to the naked eye, possibly cloaking themselves or using some other cloaking type of device, or it may be a natural component to it, to itself too. These are recorded and observed. Here you have an example of one of the obvious things that we get many times being reported as being an unidentified flying object. Just because it's unidentified doesn't mean it's not identifiable. The gentleman had footage. I captured a segment, enhanced it, so I could see the tree and the object itself. You could see it where the arrow is. And that, of course, once I looked at, is an IFO, identified flying object. This is most certainly a Chinese sky lantern, one of the most reported objects these days.
Now, Sam, I gotta ask, are you
Sure.
are you still on the first slide right now?
Hmm?
Are you still talking about the first slide?
Which one?
On
I could go back to it, so tell me.
Oh no! Well, the point is, we don't see the change. I don't know what slide you're on, but right now we're still seeing the first slide.
Oh God, no, we're well beyond that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if it's just on my end, or if we do. Ken, let me see. My screen only shows incidents. Yeah, and that's the guy that's in. I have Ken and also Joseph. Thank you for being here. They're seeing the first slide too as well. That's all they're seeing. So I'm not sure. Remember, I told you that other technique to use, and I knew that would work 100%. And but right now, I'm not sure what else to tell you.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Okay, now that's real cruddy, because I don't know how to go to the other technique. This is the one that I read up on.
Right now we don't have time, but on your screen, go and click on the button. Mine too, no show. Yeah, exactly. I'm not seeing the other. Ken, thanks. I'm not seeing the other slide. We're just seeing the first slide. That's all we're seeing right now.
Okay.
So the best thing I can tell you is refresh your PowerPoint, and maybe it'll switch over to the next slide. I'm not sure, but.
And to do that, I do what?
Let me see. I tell you what. Minimize your page, your PowerPoint page, and then open it up again to large scale again. And remember, can you put it on slideshow? Can you put it on slideshow at all?
No, I don't.
You don't know how to do that?
No. Okay, let me figure something out here. Let me see what this is. What is this?
Because last time, up in the top left-hand corner, it says slide, new slide. See that?
No.
Do
I just escape from this, I assume?
Okay, yeah. Escape.
I'm okay.
There you go.
Now, slideshow. Okay, where do we go?
You're on slide 6 now. I see slide 6 now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're on slide 6. Are you seeing?
Is that where you're at?
Maybe it'll work better this way. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know, and you might have to. Yeah, you might have to just.
Are they coming up full? Okay, we may have to do it this way.
Yep. Now you're on slide 7. So go ahead.
Okay, let's see. We were going along. Let me go through it real quick again, okay?
Yeah, you talked about the Chicago hot dog. That made me hungry. I want one of those.
There you go. Now, are you able to see that?
Okay, yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, is it full screen?
Can you see that? No, it's not full screen, but that'll work for now. Just keep it simple for now. Just go with it.
Okay. We'll just do that. That was the object I was talking about that was seen over Batavia, Illinois, which is near the cyclotron in Batavia. This picture was taken by a gentleman who was well versed in military craft. He's Air Force, and he has a very high clearance, and he's active. So he has to remain anonymous. As you can see, there is illumination on a cloud that is actually below it, so we get an idea of the height. Then when I did the enhancement, you can see that this is definitely not the Goodyear blimp, of a Chinese lantern, a weather balloon, or a meteorite, or any celestial body. And of course, it is not a rainbow or some atmospheric issues or ionosphere, say for instance the Aurora Borealis, and of course not a sundog, which is not to be confused with the hot dog, and that's my favorite, a Chicago hot dog on a sesame seed bun.
Man, that looks good. Holy cow.
There you go. That's some good stuff. But it's more likely in the shape of something like this. Now, if we had multiple witnesses or a couple sets of photographs from different perspectives, we're able to get a better idea of what we're dealing with, and that adds credibility and evidence. And that's really what we want. Unidentified, what we want to do is cases, we're talking about cases are identified not to date, that are not misidentified or hoaxes, but we'll be talking about some of those scenarios too, nebulous lights and illuminations, which may be accountable for natural, some sort of unusual natural phenomena, and of course piezoelectric discharges and etc. And they're very interesting too. Unusual and discernible objects are what we're more interested in. Well-defined self-luminous objects like the large orange orbs, which are very well defined in orange, and then there's some red versions. The discernible and detectable objects that may be hard to detect with the naked eye, those may be cloaking, and we've had some instances where objects have been seen and even recorded that are clearly trying to cloak, or they're just not discernible with the naked eye. So these are the type of things that we'll be talking about. Now, here is a case, again, I was talking about some of those things that are either hoaxes or misidentifications. Gentleman shot some footage up in I think it was near the airport, actually. And this object in the photo was the subject of interest by him. So he sent me the footage, plus 300 other photos, and I isolated it, I blew it up, and enhanced it, and this is what we have. We have clearly an IFO identified flying object, which I misspelled flying, flinging object. There you go. this is a Chinese lantern, one of the more reported objects these days. And now I'll talk about a case with a genuine unidentified object. This case is footage. This is Sam G. He was the witness. I have rights to show his pictures. He was fishing here on the Rock River up north by an area called near Wisconsin. It's actually in Wisconsin, called Indian Fort. And he was there fishing very early in the morning one day, and he's out there fishing, and he sees above his head a configuration of some very unusual lights, very brilliant, in a four lights in a pattern of a rectangle, and he swore it had to be an object, the way they moved, that they were attached to it. Now, the thing that he was saying was that here you have, he's watching this thing, so he reaches in his pocket to pull out his camera, and all of a sudden, above this island over there, he sees, and this is right down here where the arrow is. Please take a peek at that. And there's these other illuminations that can be accounted for, but that illumination comes up over the island. And this is the same day as the Clintonville loud booms that were being heard up in Clintonville, Wisconsin. Again, back to correlation or coincidence. So
when was this, Sam?
This took place.
When was this?
That was in 2012, March of 2012.
Yeah, that's it. Because I remember in Sedona, we heard something like that as well. And in fact, it was in the newspaper. And I was working at a location, and all of a sudden, me and the guy that I was working with heard this loud boom, you know, like a sonic boom. And we thought, wow, that's pretty trippy. And then and sure, the next day it was in the newspaper. So, or the next time the newspaper came out. So that was pretty interesting. So yeah. And it was never identified in terms of where that came from, or what that was all about. So.
Well, this was going on up there, and this at the same time that event took place, I believe it was the very first one. He was out there, and this transpired. Now again, two unusual events. Is there a possibility that there's a correlation? Of course, it's always a possibility.
Was this during the summertime of 2012?
This was, I think, during spring 2012, March.
Yeah, right.
28th, 24th. Yeah.
It was around that time period. I don't remember what time of the year, but it wasn't past summertime.
No.
It may have been in spring. It may have been March. I'm not sure. I don't remember when, but it was
like during that whole period of time. There were many of those, and they still go intermittently on. But this was ongoing in that area. In fact, not just there, but in other cities. We had accounts further south of there, and it was all along a ridge line. I was looking geologically at some of the stratas and some of the things that may be accountable, or if there's some sort of geology involved. I don't know, but I can tell you this much. This was seen, but it appears to have a shape to it, and if you were to look at it, there's shading. So obviously there's something here disc shape with an illumination. Or now when people say, well, if it's a UFO and it's traveling from somewhere, I don't know where it's coming from, and they're saying, well, why does it need lights? We're not necessarily looking at lights, but we are looking at illumination. A light per se is for illuminating. And there's a huge difference there. It's the residual effect of certain types of energies and frequencies and wavelengths that is discernible by an eye, or the human eye. So that's what was there. Now, in Lockport of July, I believe that was, of 2002, we had a sighting by a couple gentlemen. Actually, we had a number of sightings that day. They weren't the only witnesses of this account. And they took this picture, and I did an enhancement of it, and you can see there are some illuminations up on the top, almost dead center, one to the right, and then a cluster below. That cluster below is relatively similar to what was seen in another account. This picture here is the one blown up from Lockport, and there's characteristics in this picture that are relatively similar to some of the other photos that were taken on the 31st of October 2004 in Tinley Park. But they're relatively also similar to the 2005 January 1st of the Southern Illinois mass sighting, which was, of course, made a lot of popularity. This was from Discovery Channel. These are the graphics, and that is a picture of it. The picture this police officer took. That's a graphic of basically what he's seeing. And we do get a lot of reports of this type of triangular object, but there's variations on it. So it isn't the only one. These were the police officers involved in that case. This was the first witness to make the report, and he owned a putt-putt golf course, and he was a truck driver. He stopped in and he seen this thing moving along, and it was rectangular. What he's seen was more rectangular, and he says it was like a house flying through the sky. And the funny thing is, another gentleman who's seeing a similar depiction of that perspective, of that object, came forward soon thereafter. I believe it was about a year afterwards. And to date, a gentleman who did a great documentary, and we'll talk about that in a second, he has 3 witnesses that came forward that have seen at least 3 objects. We have a few people who've seen a few objects that very evening, which was January the 4th, 2000, and we also have footage now from that event, and there are characteristics in the footage that tie into the sighting of what was seen in the Tinley Park case in 2004, back on the Halloween sighting, and also the would be August the 21st of the same year. So here's the path that took, but there was more sightings that night. It wasn't just limited there, and it's a case that's still going on and very tied into many of the large either isosceles or equilateral triangles that are being seen throughout the world.
That looks like a stealth. Holy cow! Like
in a way, it does.
Upgraded. No, it does. It looks exactly like a stealth, except upgraded, updated. Wow.
Yeah, it has. The thing is, when we look at this technology, it is so unusual. It has anti-gravitic properties. It's able to stay stationary. They hyperleap. In other words, they're at one location and in an instance can be seen in another location. So it has properties that are definitely outside the scope of conventional thrust and engines that we use. So this is either highly classified, reverse engineered, or advanced engineered technology. But triangular crafts have been seen and reported throughout history, for much longer than the advent of flight. This gentleman here is David Marler, and Dave wrote a book, and I have a section in there that I wrote about the Tinley Park case. Dave was the state director here in Illinois for MUFON before me, and his book, Triangular UFOs, I'll be touting that in a second. It seemed as though a lot of people thought it was a dirigible, this massive dirigible, and this is one of the many dirigibles being built, but it wasn't. The motion, the ability of it to hover motionless without sound, being able to hyperleap, these are not the characteristics of a blimp. This is another
Sam, I want to take a pause here for a second. First of all, I want to recognize that you're saying that you are the state director for MUFON. Now, what does MUFON stand for?
Mutual UFO Network.
And that's an organization that investigates and not promotes but reports on these types of activities. And you're also doing an event there in October. Is that correct?
Yes, the Heartland UFO Summit is a co-sponsored by MUFON, but I underwrite it and put it together. Heartland Group is a group of people, researchers. We work together and we do the event. Richard Dolan is one of the key members. Another being David Marler. We have Alejandro Rojas coming on from Open Minds. We have Chris O'Brien going to be here. who's wrote his new book, Stalking the Herd on Cattle Mutilations. He's done a lot of work and research as far as the unusual going-ons in the mysterious valley up there in the mountains and highlands and plateau of Colorado and the San Luis Valley. Beautiful area. And we also have other people coming on board talking about various other subjects. But we try to keep things really above board, try to talk as scientifically. When we go into speculation, to qualify that as speculation, to bring the information and let people make their own decision as far as what it all means. In other words, it's an informational event that you're actually involved in. You get to engage, meet these people, and engage in conversation. A very limited number of people, 100 people per day. It's a Friday, Saturday night, and you can check out more of the information on it at MyMUFON, MyMUFON, MUFON.com. We will also have the Heartland site up, and you'll be hearing about it. I'm sure we'll get some information to post on your site on this too. We'll be talking a lot about the Tinley Park case because, of course, the anniversary is coming up, 10-year anniversary this year in August. So I expect to have part of our documentary that we're going to be doing done. And most people who would watch any of this type of subject matter have seen it on UFO Hunters. I was a consultant for season 2 and 3, and was able to cameo in 2 cases of mine, which was, of course, Tinley Park and the O'Hare sighting, where I worked with NARCAP on the investigation of the object over the O'Hare Gate C-17.
Got it.
Now, January 4th and 5th, 2000, Daryl Barker made a very good documentary, and he is the leading expert on the sighting down in southern Illinois. Him and Dave Marlar are really the key investigators, and they've done a great job. If you get a chance, please get the DVD Edge of Reality by Daryl Barker, and maybe I get him back up here again because he's got some new insight and information. The book that I was telling you about is Triangular UFOs, An Estimate of the Situation by David Marlar. I was a contributing author, the author being David Marlar. Contributors, and the preface was by John Alexander, who is of course, retired colonel, and he is a very interesting take on the subject altogether. Mass sightings in Illinois. Mass sightings are by far the best way to get information because you have more than 100 witnesses, you have various perspectives, you have a selection, a cross-board selection of the demographic of a community. You will also get higher caliber witnesses to step forward because other people have seen the same thing. And what you'll see is people come forward, will present their information factually, and most of them are very reserved on as far as to speculation, and that's what we want. We want people to come forward, tell us what you saw, not what you think it is or where it came from, but give us the information. Rockford Lights. The funny thing was, before that mass sighting down in southern Illinois, there were ongoing sightings right in Rockford, Illinois, which is, I think, the 3rd largest city in the state of Illinois, and all along the southern section of Wisconsin. These unusual orange orbs, which I've personally seen, have been in the accompaniment of these large triangular objects. And this was going on right at the beginning of the event that took place prior to that of southern Illinois. Now I'm going to talk about the Year of the Weird, which is
now, Sam.
Sure,
when did that take place? That sighting in Illinois?
The Rockfords, or which one?
Yes.
The Rockford sighting took place on New Year's Eve of 1999 and went into February of 2001. There were 13 nights of sightings. I assume at least 5 of them were hoaxes or questionable, but the rest seemed to be validated as being genuine. There were large triangular objects seen. There were disc-shaped objects seen. There were large orange orbs seen. there were many different types of objects, egg-shaped objects. One object we call looks like a spider. It's very unusual. So we call it an arachnid. It's very unusual looking. And I've actually worked on 6 cases with that very same type of depiction, where people draw it and describe the characteristics, the illuminations, the movement, the details. We had one case in southern Illinois where we had 3 witnesses and gave 3 different perspectives, therefore giving us a very good idea what this object looks like. And it's not conventional by any reach of the imagination or stretch. Back in August, let me get that back up. The year of the weird, 2004, and I think you recall that year pretty well. That was the year that we had all sorts of hurricanes and unusual weather patterns, which is ongoing to this day. But this one in particular was like the door, the threshold. And on August 13th, we had our first landfall of a Category 4 hurricane in Florida. And that was one of 13 that year. And of course, we end up the year at Christmas with the tsunami/earthquake in Sumatra. And that's why, and during this whole event, we had mass sightings like we usually don't have. It was an elevated event. Well, the 21st in Illinois, and October 31st is when we had the mass sightings here. But there were other events that led up to it. An object was seen at approximately 30-some hundred feet up in the air, hovering in the sky for 10 hours over Minneapolis, St. Paul. And this is the report. A very large unidentified white object hovered over the Twin City area for approximately 10 hours. No one, including the FAA or the National Weather Service, could identify the object. Their radio station, KSTP-AM radio 1500, had callers had 1,500 callers call in about the object, and it was very high in the sky. And one thing I have to point out, what we did is we did some triangulation, some size, some information from that. And that object was about 600 feet in diameter, or more, and it sat there for 10 hours. There was video taken, but to this date, there is no rational explanation. Well, that evening, that very day, that very evening, a very unusual object was filmed and seen in the accompaniment of other objects in northern Phoenix, and that was in your neck of the woods, on 8/19. In the evening, a large object sits motionless in a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Many drivers in the area pull over. Multiple red illuminations are seen and recorded on videotape. And you know,
go ahead.
You can see this footage online. You just look my name up and look Sam Maranto, M-A-R-A-N-T-O, on YouTube. Mark this down. Have a piece of paper and a pen, by the way, and mark this information down. And go to it. Rob owns the rights to this footage and image, and Rob is a very good researcher. We were out there. We seen the very location he was at. You'll see the daytime backdrop. This object was massive, and it sat there in the sky. It could very well have been, it was literally hundreds of feet long or wide or whatever it is. Has some unusual characteristics, and it sat there motionless in a 30-mile-an-hour wind. Hundreds of people seen it, and there was other video footage taken further south. There's 2 sets of footage of that event that day.
Well, Sam, that confirms to me a incident back in Sedona years ago, back in the 90s. I was living in Cottonwood, but in right between Cottonwood and Sedona, I seen this was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. There was it looked like a helicopter with a light, and it was sitting there hovering for I don't know how long, at least 2 or 3 or more hours. But I just watched it for. I was doing a meditation at that time of night, and by the time I was done, about 3 or 4 hours later, it was gone. Or actually, I take it back. I was still there, and then I went to bed, and then in the morning it was gone. And I thought, well, is that a craft, or is that just a helicopter? And it just sat there for a long time. So
Well, in 2004, what really got to me, and I could talk a little more about this, is the dimensional aspect of some of these things. There is a interdimensional component possibly to this, and that's something, you know, when you're trying to be hard science and everything else, you don't want to be dragged into anything more unusual than what you're dealing with already. But it seems
gotcha.
that that is a potential here, that we're dealing with things that know how to manipulate dimensions, matter as we know it, and maybe inherently some of these things are a biological engineering, and possibly some of this stuff is natural. In other words, some of these things are of a nature that we have no understanding of, and may be conscious. They may be living beings, some of these things. These large things function like craft. They seem to have perform all the intellectual, everything that would be considered a craft. And that's most of these, but not all of them. Some of them may be more unusual and elusive. This case, the sighting, as far as on the 21st of August 2004, we had multiple sightings all around the world. It wasn't just isolated here. We had a sighting, actually, in the first one that I was made aware of, that I kept in the window of investigation, which is 72 hours before, 72 hours afterwards. The scope of when I investigate a case, I'll look at other potentially similar cases or sightings 72 hours before, 72 hours afterwards. You have to have a window or a scope for every single type of investigation and limit it.
Got it.
On August the 20th, which was, you know, just hours before, there was a sighting just off of, I don't know how you pronounce that, Croatia in the Adriatic Sea, where this formation of a triangular illuminations were being seen through the sky, and they weren't the NOS satellite, which is up there, which is a spy satellite for the naval intelligence, and that wasn't it. We could track that. We know where it is at any given time. But this thing sat up there, and this report came in on October the 27th. Very good report. You could go to to Newfork, which is National UFO Reporting Center, and read all the reports that came in August from Tinley Park and before and after of 2004. You'd be surprised. Well, on the 21st, very soon, hours afterwards, 3 million people went downtown Chicago for the Air and Water Show, which takes place every year. And that day, they thought the spectacles were over. That, and of course, you know, all the beautiful flights of beautiful planes and everything. And even Ozzy Osbourne was playing out in Tinley Park at what was then the Tweeter Center. It's now called the Midwest Bank Center. And that's what that looks like, by the way. Huge location. You can see it from miles up. It is like a monolith from 36 miles up. You could still see it. It stands out as something unusual on the ground in this community, and it's just south, literally off of the I-80 thoroughfare. Now, Tinley Park, Illinois, is not some podunk town. Tinley Park has a very good population, a big population, a good cross-section of community, mainly upper middle class, and you have also the most illuminated area south of the Chicago Loop in the state of Illinois. You also have Interstate 80, the largest interstate going from coast to coast, running there, and it's also one of the most trafficked areas as far as aviation. Some 32 airports, heliports, private airports, just right in this general vicinity. You also have 3 major international airports, that being, of course, Gary, you have the Midway, and you also have O'Hare. During the day, or the evening of the sighting on the 21st of August, there was absolutely no air traffic while those objects were being seen in the sky. The objects that most people were reporting was 3 illuminations were considered to be red, reddish orange, sitting and moving in ratio with each other, in relationship with each other, never breaking that configuration, and hovering, going into the wind, and also hyperlinking at times. Stayed in the area for much longer than, say, for instance, a flare on a balloon, or, say, for instance, a Chinese lantern. The observations were being seen not just here, but throughout the world, and even into a day or so afterwards, into Australia, where it was recorded in Australia.
They
Now,
must have been flying fast. That's all I got to say. Holy cow.
yeah, it was having a good time, and the first group of people I actually interviewed were about 40 people. It was a beautiful evening that night, Andrew. The wind was very little. We had gusts, I think, of about 12 miles on and off. Perfectly clear sky, not a cloud in the sky. And everybody was out enjoying the evening. They were having barbecues. They were having block parties. Of course, we had the Ozzy Osbourne concert. Thousands of people pouring out into I-80 and along local thoroughfares, and they seen these configurations sitting there overhead and doing things that conventional aircraft can't do. And the other thing is, of course, there was no air traffic during that time, just these unusual illuminations. Now, the funny thing about when you talk to these people, many of them remember this stuff, this detail, as if it happened just yesterday. These are Kodak moments, and I have personally reviewed some 17 sets of video footage and cross-referenced them, giving us an opportunity to get a three-dimensional and multiple positions and perspectives to the event of both the August 21st and the September one. There were other objects seen, very unusual, smaller type objects. This was one drawing that he did of something else that may have come out of one of these larger objects. And these images here are from other case studies. This here to the left is a large isosceles triangle. And when I showed this woman and her daughter the footage from Tinley Park, they go, "Oh, that's the large isosceles triangle that we see down here." They get to see this thing up close and personal, and they've seen it on multiple occasions.
Wow.
Another interesting object that was seen in and about the area is the one to your right, and that was massive. That was seen soon after that major sighting, and the gentleman who seen it worked for a large government contractor and was very, very interested to come forward, but didn't want to remain anonymous. October of 2009, we had 2 of these unusual, highly luminous, elongated objects, very strange objects. It was hard for the gentleman to even describe what they looked like. And they were seen in the Oak Lawn area, and he took multiple pictures of it. This one I did an enhancement on. Strangely enough, in Empire, Ohio, and this research was done by Linda Howe, a truck driver took a picture of this object coming out of a large triangular craft, and you could see the illuminations like recessed lights of a large triangular craft sitting there. And this object, very unusual, and you could see the photons charge. You could actually see a path leading up to there. This was, when I showed him this picture, he says, that looks pretty similar to what I saw. And that was in and about the same time, a matter of, I think it was a day apart. So, what we hear about so many times is, where's your proof? Well, proof only exists, and this is a little bit of factual information that everybody needs to know. Proof only exists in law, math, and alcohol. In science, what you have is evidence, and that's what we're trying to do, is get the evidence, because that's what matters. You can bury your feet and get grounded in science, but if you got your head in the sand and not observing and looking at all the evidence that there is pertaining to the subject matter, well, then you're just missing the boat, and you're missing it entirely. Well, I'm lucky enough to have a partner that goes with me, and we do educational programs for children and for adults at libraries and schools. And of course, we do a lot of presentations and seminars. This is the StarWorks conference that we had we encouraged Paula Harris to come out. And we had a great time. And this person here, if anybody watched CNN, you may remember this pretty face. Cheryl Jones was one of the announcers, and she was the MC. Again, I'd like to tout the Heartland UFO Summit, which is October 17th to the 19th, 2014. Please go to mymufon, MYMUFON.com, and you can get more about information about that. And we will extend the same rates for memberships with MUFON to people listening here. You get the same discounted rate for that event. And I'll take some questions. I'm Sam, the UFO guy, and UFOsleuth10@gmail.com is how you can contact me. UFOsleuth10@gmail.com, and my site, the UFO guy, will be up soon too. I'll take some questions.
Sam, are you one of those black men in black guys? Look at that! Look at that hat! Look at those glasses! Huh? What are you, funny?
Oh God, Men in Black. I've had my experiences with them.
Yeah, no kidding, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and thank you, Becky and Joseph, for being here. If you have any questions right now, well, later on I'm gonna be working with opening up the lines on free conferencing, and you can literally call in, ask questions live in person. But otherwise, right now the chat room, it seems to be working, and if you're interested in asking a question, just go to the chat room right now and just ask a question. Is there anything else that you haven't told us about that you want to put out there, Sam? Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, so many people, when they're looking at a UFO or seeing something unusual, the first thing you want to do, if it's unusual, start recording it. Start getting details. The other thing is, with everybody having a cell phone, please call somebody that may also be able to record the event. Record it. Everybody has cell phones with cameras. Record the event. The more detail, the more evidence, the better it is to get an idea of what we're looking at, or more importantly, what we're not looking at. And that's the thing. We're trying to filter out the prosaic, the mundane, and come down to a decision. If we can identify it, we identify it. People say, well, you're a bunch of debunkers. No, we're not. We're trying to be serious and scientific. The bottom line is, I'm not about to go touting something as being an extraterrestrial vehicle when it's a Chinese lantern. And that's, the fact is, we get tons and tons of reports of Chinese lanterns, meteorites, and celestial bodies. I could go, when Venus is out and bright, or Jupiter, people will call left and right and swear by God or Mahala or Muhammad or whoever that it's a UFO, and they get me out there, and I'm like, no, this is what's going on. You're looking at a celestial body that's Mars or whatever. The thing is, yes, we are getting tons of UFOs, the real deal. Are they extraterrestrial? Some may very well be. Are they interdimensional? They may be. Time travelers? I have no idea. I never followed one back home, but they exist. These things are real. Are some of these things our own technology, advanced engineered technology, top secret, whatever you want to call it? Sure, some of them are, but not all of them. And again, we're only interested in the information, not the speculation.
Exactly. So you mean you've never taken one of those guys home for dinner and invited them over for dinner? What's up with that program, Sam?
Well, I heard they're not really very well trained when it comes to sitting. They have to get their etiquette down pat. I'll take some questions if there's any.
Well, right now there doesn't seem to be our visitors seem to be I guess satisfied with the information that you have already given us here now. So again, the Heartland UFO Summit is in Chicago, right?
It's in Tinley Park, Illinois. It's right off of I-80. Easy to get to, multiple places to stay. Beautiful facility. It's a Hilton Garden Inn. We don't do anything schlocky. It's always top notch. Directly across the parking lot is a Texas Roadhouse. Anything great for barbecue for your vegans. They have great vegetarian stuff too. This is a location that's very convenient and conducive for this type of event. The other thing is we're going to tie it in with the Palos Paranormal conference, which will be taking 11 miles and 1 block north of there on basically the same road. So
Wow.
for those attendees coming in to join the Heartland UFO Summit, will also have a chance to attend that event. And what we're going to be doing is having some of our representatives there, some of our speakers, giving some talks, and we're going to have that online. So nobody misses anything. You could get two really good events.
So now, and you and I have talked, Sam, that we're working up on setting up a marketing program so that we can get you some do interview some of your people from this summit on
Yes.
Blog Talk. And I'm for those of you that don't know, I'm an internet radio show host on Blog Talk Radio, and every Friday and Sunday night I do a variety of shows. And so on Sunday nights I typically do interviews, and so we're going to see about bringing in some of your people for at least 3 or 4 interviews within the next few months before October. And then if anything else, if you happen to attend this event and happen to see me there, of course, give me a big aloha. Let me know that you're there, and thank you for doing that. So we got about 7 minutes left. Anything else you want to put out there that we haven't put out there yet?
Well, I'd like to talk about MUFON. I would like people to join
go
the
ahead.
organization. It's a great organization, very dedicated. It's the oldest one that it's been, oldest serious research group, scientific research group as far as the phenomena. I would also like to tout the show that's on Friday, which is Hangar 1. I believe it's Hangar 1. The show is on the Science Channel. You can go to MUFON.com, MUFON.com, and you could see details about the show. It's on every Friday, talking about some interesting case studies. Also on there are going to be various investigators and researchers from the organization. I currently am working with the Science Channel on a project, and I don't know when that's going to air, but I expect it'll air next year. I had just gotten a call before I got on here from England. I'll be on the Discovery Channel with the O'Hare case, and we're going to be talking about that. But working about what I think 4 or 5 different shows at the moment. So you will be seeing me back on. I took some time off, and I haven't been doing that much as far as shows and conferences, but I will be available. If you'd like to have me talk at a conference, you could always contact me at that email, or you could contact me at my at MUFONSam at Comcast.net, MUFONSam Comcast.net. We got all sorts of stuff going on out here. We have if you're in the Chicagoland area or anywhere in the Midwest, you find yourself coming up in this area on the 28th of June, we're going to have a meeting at the place I had just mentioned before, which is the Hilton Garden Inn in Tinley Park. If you go to mymufon.com, all the details are there. So please, if you get a chance, come on out, and we do have a good time. We have open mic too available during that day.
Awesome. And I want to thank you again for being here and sharing some of your information with us, Sam. I appreciate that. And just to let you guys know, for the rest of the day, we have Sherry Gideons and Sheldon Ginsberg coming up next. We'll be talking about manifesting, and then we're going to do a meditation, a Humanity Festival meditation this afternoon at 2 p.m., which I will be guiding, and then And then at 4 p.m. we have Catherine Andrews, who'll be talking about 6 paths to fulfilling relationships. So now one of the things that's going on is, and right now this system is not the most stable system in the world. So we're just working with it. This is the first time we've ever done this webinar series, and so what we're finding out is that some of the people are not when we redo the shows in the afternoon, some of the shows, some of the people aren't appearing in the attendees, or none of the people are appearing in the attendees. Right now, you guys are, which I'm surprised about. I wasn't expecting that. But so what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a Facebook page. I'm going to see if I can open up a Facebook page. You can ask me questions there, or you can call. I'm going to see. I wasn't able to earlier, but if I can't, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and do it for the next show. Is open up the free conferencing page so that you can call in and ask questions via phone. So, and you can call in 712-432-0075, 712-432-0075, access code 689-328#, 689-328#. Again, we're gonna be opening up the conference call. Earlier I wasn't able to. I'm gonna see if I can do it for the next show, and you can ask questions live and in person over the phone at 689 or 712-432-0075, 712-432-0075, access code 689-328#, 689-328#. Thank you. So Sam, I want to thank you once again. And oh, there's the hat. Where's the glasses? Where's the
They're in the car. The dark glasses are in the car.
Yeah, and oh, do you have the? I don't remember what the car was called, but the Bluesmobile. I don't know what it was called, but you know.
Oh, the Bluesmobile. Dan Aykroyd and I got together. In fact, it was last year we got to see each other, Dan Aykroyd and I. And
yeah.
I hope to have him out one of these days. He invited me down to his club, but he's always busy. When I'm when I'm free, it's like we don't get things together. What a great guy!
Now, is he a MUFON member as well?
He is our Hollywood. Actually, he's our hot shot in Hollywood. He's our fundraiser and representative for Hollywood. Him and we have a few other folks. Yeah.
But he's
involved in ufology.
He is a member of MUFON, is that correct?
Oh yeah, and he's been involved for a long time. His father was very involved in the subject matter and paranormal, etc. Father wrote a book on the paranormal, and I think his grandfather also was involved in some aspects or something. Yeah.
Wow.
But brilliant man, great personality, an absolute gentleman. And the House of Blues, if you're near or around one, make sure to visit. And he has some great wine for those of you who like wine. And, of course, Crystal Head vodka. Oh, my gosh. For those of you who like a good vodka, it's top-notch. He's a great guy. I endorse everything he does.
He's got his own stories as well.
Most certainly. He had his own experiences. He's had some sightings. He had some sightings. Actually, I think had 2 sightings that he talks about, and he isn't afraid to bring up the subject matter.
Nope,
and he's well versed in it too. Yeah. So,
all right, Sam, we're out of time. I want to thank you.
Aloha.
And we'll talk. Thank you for being here. Have a God-Goddess week. Be the love that you are. Always have been. Always will.
God bless you.
Aloha.
Aloha.